Mr. Flores. So, what led you to decide in starting a registered apprenticeship program?
So what led me to to start the apprentice program was actually my father-in-law. He went through the program himself, and I went through the JETC. Now it's called the AETA, the Austin Electrical Training Alliance. And he went he went through the apprenticeship, I don't know, over about 40 years ago, I would say. And I went through it 15 years ago. That's when I started. So it's a 5-year program, and that's who introduced me to it. And it's brought me good success, and I know a lot of people that it's helped out a lot as well.
Thank you so much. That's really inspiring. How is the return of investment?
I think the return is really good. So one thing that I think it's awesome about the apprenticeship program is that it gives young men and women an opportunity to join the skilled trade with essentially no money out of their pocket, right? At least with the AETA, they are responsible to pay for their books, but we also offer scholarship programs that could help, right? So they can get through school debt free, and and and, and I mean it's a well, debt free and with the knowledge to do electric work, right? It's a 5-year program with the apprentices going through this program. They invest themselves in 5 years of school. So after the 5 years, they're ready to really start their career, right? I know the apprenticeship, it's a you go to school after work, right? So these students, they show a lot of dedication because they're working 40 plus hours a week, and then after school, once or twice a week, they go to school, and the return on investment is we get a skilled worker, right? So we have another route in the electrical trade where you don't have to go to school, but that usually takes twice as long. Instead of going through the 5-year apprenticeship program, you're looking at 8, 9 years before you could really, get that knowledge, right? So going through the apprenticeship program, going through the classes, it just puts you that further ahead. So if I get a young person, or you don't have to be young, right? I've actually had apprentices that started the apprenticeship program at 40 years old. And if they have the ability to go to school, if they have the choice of going to school or not going to school, I'm always gonna guide them to go through the apprenticeship program.
I like that, especially when you said you have skilled workers. And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. So one of the things that we get out of the apprenticeship is typically, if an apprentice goes through the apprenticeship, or an future electrician, they come out with the skills to run work. So we teach them leadership skills as well, besides the electrical. So I would say at least 70% of the apprentices that graduate graduate ready to run work, which is really good.
that's awesome. And then I can imagine too that they'll be able to train new apprentices, especially with the leadership skills that they obtained.
Definitely, and that's something that we coach them, especially right now. I just started teaching at the apprenticeship. I'm teaching the 5th year apprenticeship, and I'm doing foreman development and the leadership skills, letting them know now it's your turn to pass that knowledge
Yep,
down, right? It's a never-ending cycle, definitely.
it is. It is. It is always a learning process. You may find it really interesting where a lot of companies want their employees, and not just on the electrical side, like overall, just in general, that they encourage their employees to have leadership skills. And it comes with being able to coach, being able to train, and it's really a very valuable skill. So that is great.
Definitely. No,
And
and you know there is some companies that don't want to teach you, right? We're the
yeah,
total opposite. We're all about passing that knowledge down, and you know we have to teach the next generation.
right. And I mean, it gives the let's say the trainee, it gives them a sense of growing. And because like coming from personal experience, like if I see I have the opportunity to grow, then I would stay and be motivated. I mean, yeah, it's really very rewarding.
You're absolutely right. You know, and that's one thing that I tell somebody that has no knowledge about the electrical trade, right? Um, I learned about the electrical trade through my father-in-law. So after I graduated high school, I actually did insurance for almost 5 years. Well, I did insurance for a little over 4 years, but then after that, I went into construction. I was doing concrete work, but once I learned about the apprenticeship, you know, it was like, wow, why didn't I know about this before, right? And the thing is that this apprenticeship program and getting your electrical license, it's a good pathway. It's a launching pad, right? Because there's a lot of other opportunities. So with at least with Rosendin Electric, we're nationwide and we have so many positions after you get your journeyman's license, right? You could venture into project management, estimating. We have BIM where we draw everything 3D, safety, purchasing. I mean, you name it. There's so many
Yeah.
different positions out there that, you know, just by getting the fundamentals down
Mhm.
and if you have that electrical hands-on knowledge, all it does is gives you that uh I don't know, it puts you up there, right? Because
Mhm.
sometimes or we'll get assistant project managers directly out of college, and it's almost like getting a first year apprentice. You know,
Yeah.
they have the schooling, but they don't really have that construction knowledge.
Right.
So then they're basically, you know, I don't want to say useless, but you got to teach them everything, right? So if you
Yeah.
could, you know, by going through the apprenticeship, and then if you decide to go into project management, yeah, maybe you need to learn the office side of it, but at least you have that field experience that will help you uh, learn really quick. So
Yep. And they'll be able to manage well because they already have that knowledge, how this project should be. So that's really cool.
yes.
And then to my last question, well, if I'm an employer, I am already convinced, but would you would you recommend registered apprenticeship program to fellow employers who have not started yet? And like how would you tell them to convince them?
So I definitely recommend it 100% to even to the competition, right? So like right now I would say I would say, oh yeah, no, keep doing whatever you're doing because you know I know the apprenticeship program works, but in reality, um, we definitely believe in teaching and coaching and growing our industry. We understand. So one of the things about the apprenticeship program is when the apprentice finishes school, they have that, like kind of like I was explaining earlier, they have a lot of options, right? So sometimes what happens is at graduation night, other employers come. Let's say I have an apprentice that's been working for me and he's about to graduate. Another employer will show up to graduation and offer him a truck, offer him, a couple extra dollars or something, and to get them to come over because now they know you have a skilled electrician, and so uh they'll start recruiting, right? And we always saw it as a downfall, right? But in reality, sometimes that mentality was, oh, I don't really want to teach these guys too much because they're gonna leave me, and that's actually the wrong mentality. The more we teach our people, they're gonna remember that, right? There may be another opportunity, but it's okay if they go to that other opportunity. At the end of the day, they're going to remember how you treated them, where they got their knowledge from, and more than likely, and we see it all the time, they'll come back. So and that's the thing with construction, right? And right now we may be talking different industries, but at least in construction, there's high points and low points, right? So sometimes, like for example, we're wrapping up a project in Austin where we had a little over 200 electricians. Right now, we're down to like 10. So we understand that there's going to be points in time where layoffs happen and the electricians have to find somewhere else to go. But as soon as we pick up the next, like that same project, there's going to be a second phase to it. We know that, we taught these, we treated the guys well, the guys and girls well, and they're gonna come right back to us, and so we definitely believe in that continuous education and the apprenticeship program. What I like about it is it teaches the apprentices discipline because not only are they're going to work their 40 hours or more. A lot of these projects nowadays offer overtime, right? Ever since COVID, I don't think I've stopped working overtime. So if the apprentice, if they want to make a lot of money, they can make a lot of money. The nights that we have school, all the contractors know that, hey, when the school comes first, right? So we won't hold an apprentice, we won't hold it against them or anything if they need to go to school. We actually encourage them. Some of those guys are like, you know what, I'm just going to not go to school today because I want to make overtime. And it's like, sorry, dude, you can't work overtime today. You have to go to school. That's unacceptable. So we definitely put schooling first because at the end of the day, yeah, it would be so, at the job site, maybe those extra 2 hours of that person being there will help you finish a certain task for that day. But them going to school is really going to help you evolve in the long run, right? So we have that understanding, in the IBEW, in the AETA, where we actually treat our apprentices really well, so if we have to choose a person that's going through the apprenticeship and a person that's not, that apprentice is always going to come first, and only because that person's showing that dedication. So we also uh you know treat them a little better in that sense, and the thing is that it creates a good environment, so I honestly, that's what I always encourage everybody that I meet. If a person doesn't really know what they want to do with their life, and I tell them the electrical trade. I didn't grow up thinking I was going to be an electrician. That wasn't like a lifelong dream, but I've done really good doing it, and I enjoy it. It's you get to work with your hands, you get to build stuff. At the end of the day, I actually just transitioned into an office position this year. So again, you have those avenues where, you get your license, and then from there, it's really up to you if you want to continue with your tools, if you want to be a foreman and run work. And we have different levels of foreman, right? You have your uh, foreman, area foreman, general foreman, then you have superintendents. And so it's really up to the person how far they want to take it. And then that's in the field side. You also have, like myself, I joined the training department with Rosendin, so that's my office position, which I still have that interaction with the field, and it's a blend. I like visiting the job sites and interacting with the field guys as well. So I guess to answer the question, I would I would definitely recommend the apprenticeship program to any company just because I've seen it work, right? I'm living it. I went through it, and it's done good for me, and I continue to see these young men and women join the apprenticeship every year, and it's nice seeing them build that career and grow that knowledge. So I mean, I don't know how else to explain it, but it's a good system, I would recommend it.
You convinced me.
Well, I'm
Um,
I'm 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 living and breathing it, and so much that I decided to go back and start teaching, right? Just because giving back and with me getting into this new role with the company, I feel like it just goes hand in hand. I'm
mhm.
teaching foremen at our company, but now I'm also teaching fifth year apprentices that are about to
Yeah.
graduate. And so it's like, hey, let me teach you what I'm teaching over here
Mhm.
and get you ready, and some of these apprentices, they're already foremen. So, it you could actually, get your journeyman's license
Yeah.
after 4 years, and then
Nice.
yeah, so you could actually, and it's just a 5-year program with
Yeah.
us, but you could definitely, some people move a little faster than others, but
Right.
after 5 years, it's guaranteed if you go to school and you put in the work, work your 40 hours, I believe it's 2,000 on the job training hours a year.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So then
Yep.
it adds up to 10,000 hours after 5 years,
Mhm.
plus the hours you go to school,
And I
so
think that's 144 hours every year, right?
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I had 150 in my head, but I think it may be 144.
I
And
mean, that's the minimum. It could go up.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think.
and you may be right. You may again, I went through the program, and I just knew that I, I had these school nights, and I had to go, right. And that's the thing, is that we're very strict when it comes
Mhm.
to the students not missing school, right? They have to
That's
come to
good.
school. So
That's
so
good.
then that shows them that responsibility,
I like how you support your apprentices. Like, go to school. Some people be like, no, no, just stay here. But like, you have the mentality of supporting them. Like, hey, go to school, because then again, it goes back to your point that you have skilled workforce. Because aside from learning on the job, they also learn the supplemental information they get from the classroom. And so, the more knowledge and skills they have, they're able to work really efficiently for you. And I like it. I like how you support that.
Yeah, and I've always been big into coaching and mentoring and training, and I think that's one of the reasons why they offered me this role.
I can see that.
They approached me last year and they were like, "Look, we we can't think of anyone else to do this role." And I was like, "Well, I'll take it as a compliment and I'll give it a shot." So
Right? That's your legend.